Teenage Diaries. Recently, I decided to take a walk down memory lane. Actually, I'm on Ray Street North in Hamilton. On the other side of that wrought iron fence used to be where my old school, Loretto Academy, was situated. Currently, it's the location of the Good Shepherd Centers. But this is what it looked like several years ago when I was a student there. Ah, so many memories. We used to play just in front of that big white entrance door during recess. Tag, double dutch, bouncy ball. A few years before the junior school closed, the Loretto Council published a yearbook. Here's the picture of my grade 3 and 4 class. Can you guess where I am? I'll give you a hint. I couldn't find my brush that day. There I am. In 2008, I set up a Facebook group, Loretto Academy Hamilton. I initially did it hoping to reconnect with some of my old friends from the school, but throughout the years, it's expanded into something more. Many former students have joined the group and shared memories, memorials, stories, photographs, a few of which you'll see a little later on in the video. I found that this group is a remarkable way to keep that legacy alive and offer future generations a glimpse of life back in the day. There was even a reunion of sorts. A little while ago, an invitation was sent out to anyone interested in getting together for brunch. And there was a fairly good response. I'd love to see more of that. Great job on the organizers. Now, it's time for this week's video, which is a brief look at my experience there. A story about a lesson learned and a tribute to the school that laid the foundation for many ladies of Loretto. One of my favorite movies of the 60s was The Trouble with Angels, with Haley Mills as a young girl who was enrolled in a Catholic boarding school and from her first day there caused nothing but trouble. Probably the reason that I like it so much is because it is kind of relatable. You see, although I didn't attend a boarding school, I did go to an all-girls Catholic school, Loretto Academy. When I look back, I have mixed emotions about the time that I spent there. I think it was there that I ended up learning to settle. I did manage to make some friends there. Marianne R., Sharon K., and Maria S., to name a few. I don't remember all the names, but those were probably the ones that I spent the most time with. And some of the sisters that were in charge of molding me into a prominent young woman in society. All I remember really is Mother de Patsy. Of course, in the earlier years, there was Miss Grace, Mrs. Coates, Mrs. Robertson, and the principal of the junior school, Mother Herman. A little bit more about her later on. I'll be honest, my favorite subject was recess. In the autumn, when we went back to school and the leaves fell on the ground, we would structure them into rooms, divide them up into rooms and try to make the biggest house there and, play house. That was always fun. Then in wintertime, I looked forward to the annual bazaar. That was great. It was in the gymnasium, and there were a lot of crafts there. There were the 45 records on sale. And my favorite part was the introduction to Roma pizza. Yes, they had it back then. I still like it to this day. The best part of spring, though, was to get out of the winter uniform and into the spring jumpers. They were a lot lighter. The winter ones were made of like a heavy wool material, and they had plastic collars and plastic cuffs, and yes, they would irritate your wrists and your neck. Oh man, those were brutal, but we persevered. We had to do it. Another ceremony that I liked in the spring, or celebration rather, was the May crowning. That was one of the most beautiful celebrations that I look forward to every year. The procession, the songs that we sung. I really liked that. And then there would be like fresh lilacs, and you knew that winter was over, spring was in the air, and we could look forward to summer. Personally, I never really felt like I belonged there. I felt like kind of an outcast for some reason. And for years, I harbored some bitterness about the school. But one day, I decided to just let it go. And then I realized that it wasn't all that bad after all. Now, looking back, I see it as a vital part of my journey, one that was very influential in making me into the woman I am today. It was there that I learned good manners, common courtesy, respect, compassion, and the power in forgiveness. I am truly grateful for everything that I learned at that school. Several years after I left Loretto Academy, I enrolled in a creative writing course at McMaster University, and one of the assignments was to write about a valuable life lesson that we learned when we were young. Right away, I remembered Sister Herman. I had to face her wrath one time, and so I ended up writing this anecdote about that experience that I had. Now, I did enhance it a bit, and I did change some of the names to protect the guilty or innocent or whatever, but this actually did happen, and I'd like to share that with you now. So the story I wrote is called A Lady of Loretto: How to Change a Bad Habit. I hope you'll enjoy it. Standing there was frightening, especially when I didn't know why. What had I done? Why was I in the principal's office? Her long black robe combed the floor as she made her way across the room and took her place behind the desk. Mother Herman was the principal of Loretto Academy, an all-girls Catholic school. Her look was stern, and even though I was only 11 years old, I knew I was in trouble. Sister motioned me to sit down, then walked over to an open window. Her stature tall and lean, and her hands were clasped together in prayer, probably asking God to forgive her for what she was about to do to me. Then the interrogation began. Loretta, I received a call from Mr. Martin this morning. Do you know who he is? No, sister, I don't. Well, he happens to be the owner of Bob's Variety. My heart sank. He told me about something that happened at his store yesterday. Do you have any idea what that could be? I'm destined for hell. I knew exactly what Mother Herman was referring to. I didn't want to do it. I just wanted them to like me. I was on my way home after school when I noticed all four of them huddled at the corner. Perfect. They won't notice me. No name calling today. I stood back, waiting for the light to change so I could quickly cross the street. What happened next was a total surprise. Elaine motioned for me to go over there. I was shocked, curious, and delighted all at the same time. They were the most popular girls in school, and even though I was usually their prey, I looked up to them, especially Elaine. She was like a mentor to me. I wanted to be just like her. The girls opened up and allowed me in their discussion. As always, Elaine took the lead. Promise you won't tell anyone? I promise, I said, crossing my heart. Last week, I took something from the store and got away with it. In fact, we've all been taking turns every day, right, girls? Karen, Sue Ann, and Melody nodded. Do you want to give it a try? Of course, if you're too chicken, we could always get someone else to join our group. They wanted me in their group? I didn't want to steal, but I really wanted to be their friend at any cost. Sure, I could do that, no sweat. The moment I entered the store, I felt different, as if I were a spy on a secret and dangerous mission. I walked up the aisles looking for something to take, keeping an eye on the man behind the counter. When I saw the chocolate bars, I picked up a coffee crisp, pretending to read the wrapper, waiting for the perfect opportunity. I noticed the owner was busy with customers. It was now or never. Quickly, I stashed the goods in my pocket and grabbed whatever I could as I made my way to the door. In a sudden burst of brilliance, I picked up a bag of potato chips and actually paid for them. I left the store with a feeling of euphoria. I was now one of them. Mission accomplished. Standing in Sister's office was horrifying. Guilt came in like an uninvited guest. I needed a way out, so I did the only thing a respectable lady of Loretto would do. I lied. No, Sister, I have no idea. Are you sure? Those words blurted out of her mouth like bullets from an AK-47, and her face was stone tight. She was determined to expose me. I think I forgot to pay for a chocolate bar. I couldn't bring myself to look at her. My head was bowed in shame. I see. Is that all you forgot to pay for? She asked sternly. Yes. My head still bowed. Are you sure that's all? Sister was out for blood. How did she know? Someone must have told her. Maybe an informant, double agent. Elaine. I also took some Scotch tape. Is that everything? She probed. Did she have a list up her sleeve, I wondered? Yes, that's it. Are you sure? I also took a pencil, but I did buy a bag of chips. I mentioned that, hoping for redemption. At this point, I was looking up, and although my eyes were facing Mother Herman, they were more focused on the crucifix hanging on the wall behind her. We continued the banter until I owned up to everything I had taken. 4 chocolate bars, a pencil, some tape, and a package of juicy fruit gum. My newfound sense of popularity had now manifested itself into disgrace. For my penance, I had to go back to the store and apologize to Mr. Martin and pay for the hot items. I was also assigned a 200-word essay on the perils of stealing, 3 Hail Marys, 4 Our Fathers, and an act of contrition. When I left the office, I noticed Elaine at the water fountain getting a drink, probably there to make sure that I was all right. I quickly walked over to my new friend and began to tell her of my ordeal. Wow, that was scary, I said. Elaine looked at me while wiping her mouth with her sleeve, rolled her eyes, then turned and walked away. I stood there stunned. I felt abandoned, but I also felt a hard sense of reality. She was never my friend, nor would ever be. After my initial shock, I smiled and walked back to my classroom. I realized that I was okay with not being a part of Elaine's little group of thieves. I was happy with just being me. This story actually did happen. It was enhanced a bit, and of course the names were changed, but the lesson has stayed with me every day of my life. Case closed. Today, I am grateful to be an alumnus of Loretto Academy, and I wouldn't change it for the world. If I could, though, I would go back and tell that moppy hair, freckle face, little girl, that the first place to look for acceptance is within yourself. Not to settle for less than you deserve, and to always stay focused on your dreams, your values, and your good heart.